CellTalk series of this session. And today our presenter is on the session of research on the prediction of longevity from both individual and family perspectives. Our speaker Chaya is working as a data analytics intern at Renix Life Sciences. Currently, she collecting the details of the professor details who has research interest in healthcare and sponsor projects related to standalone universities. So, standalone research institutes and engineering colleges across India, statewide. She collected MTech computer science from SVCE, BTU University, Belagavi in 2015. Before joining Renix, she completed internship in Isitias Consumer Private Limited at the Procurement and Logistic Department. In Renix, she gained experience in data retrieving as well as to handle responsibilities shared between various team members. So I hand over the session to our speaker Chaya to continue the session.
Yeah, thank you, Pratusha, for this introduction. Let's start my presentation. Title is Research on Prediction of Longevity from both individual and family perspectives. This comes under the topic of longevity. It has an impact factor of 3.7 and it was published in 2022. This research has a direct impact on longevity of older people. Okay, let's talk about something interesting. Like how our world is changing. More and more people are living longer, and only fewer babies are being born. This makes our population older. By 2019, 9% of world population is considered as elderly. Here, elderly means the people who live, who are 60 or above. This group of people need a special kind of care and attention. When we look globally, everyone is interested in living longer and healthier life. It is influenced by various factors like gender, genetics, environment, social connections, religious belief, sleep patterns, and personal traits, with family traits, individual characteristics, and social support playing a significant role. For example, consider the genes. Genes are the instructions to your body. If you have a family history of living longer period, you also have a chance of living long time. And also personality matters. If you are a strong, emotionally stable, then you can add more years to your lifespan. Like that, various factors are influenced the human longevity. Now we will talk about the approach that take care of older people is evolving through healthy aging action plan. This action plan is not only taking care of physical health, but they are taking care of mental health too. How older people feel and interact. They have some set of measures for mental health, like memory, positive feelings, stable emotions, how someone sees themselves like that. Coming to present challenges is understanding why some older individuals live longer is a puzzle that has not been thoroughly solved. There is a lack of detailed research on how family factors influence the longevity of older people, and the connections between personality traits, social support, and the lifespan of individuals need more exploration. Coming to objective of the research. Objective is to investigate the differences in demographics and psychosocial factors between longer lived and shorter lived older people, and to develop the predictive models considering personal and family traits, and stress them to focus on mental health of the older people. Coming to methodology, first the researchers used the tool called G-power analysis to figure out how many people they needed for this study. So with this tool, suggested them to collect 114 people, choose 114 people for this study. What they did, they split them into two groups. One is long lived and another one is regularly elderly. They aim for medium impact, that is 0.05 significance level and steady power of 0.8. So they know how many people they need. So they first they selected the community, specific community. In that community, they chose 62 long-lived and 88 regularly elderly families. Then they did the surveys with 62 older people from long-lived families with average age of 98.74 and 57 from regular elderly families, that is average age of 73.47. And also family info is also collected from 186 members in long leave families and 246 members in regular elderly families. The researchers also applied the criteria to exclude the participants with the history of memory loss, some cognitive disorders, or total deafness. But surprisingly, this research had not excluded any participants by this criteria. Coming to procedures, researchers used field investigation and face-to-face interviews to study the psychosocial characteristics of old people and their families. They used mix of cluster and random sampling methods to choose the participants. So first they selected the longevous um, community. In that community, they randomly selected the families with longevous elderly people whose age is more than 90 years. And here, the sampling of longevous elderly families should include the older people and more than two family members who are living together. To avoid the difference in living experience, life experience, and living habitat, the older elderly family should be around the longevous family. So, older elderly families were chosen from neighbors of the longevous families without a very old person in 5 generations. So, for assistance or help with this study, they explain each question and how to answer them in a way that everyone should understand, considering differences in age and culture. They use the local way of speaking and ask the questions one by one, collecting answers from the older individuals. Others who could answer on their own, they did that one. Coming to measurements, they collected the demographic variables. First one is gender, whether they are male or female, age over 25 years, education level, high school and behind or basic education or no schooling, and marital status, whether they are married, widowed, divorced, still single or others. Self-reported health status, for those who are 70 with limited health education and no proper medical accessibility, the survey asked how they felt about their health. Habits, information on smoking and drinking habits was collected. Household income, the monthly income of each person in a family was recorded. So like this, they measured the demographic values. Coming to this is EPQRSC overview, means Ising Personality Questionnaire Revised Short Scale. This is the personality questionnaire revised since 1997 based on various versions previous version called EPQRS. It consists of 4 subscales, each which have 48 questions. Scoring is based on the participant responses. When they say yes, it is scored as 1. When they say no, it's scored as 0. The scores of each subscale are then converted into standard T-score using the formula. This is the T-score formula. Like T is equal to 50 plus 10 into original score of the tested individual minus average score of that group divided by standard deviation of the score of the group. By this formula, they calculated the standard T-score. Now we will see what are those subscales. Like extraversion. If the score of extraversion is high, means that people is energetic, optimistic, quick reacting, adventurous, less practical and impulsive. If it is low score, means quiet, conservative and reliable. Next is neuroticism. If the score is high, means emotionally unstable, anxious, irritable and often depressed. If the score is low, means emotionally stable, react slowly or weakly and no prone to anger. And coming to psychotism, if the score is high, means lonely, unkind, like that, and low score means opposite tendencies like friendly, adaptable, and not particularly prone to loneliness and unkindness. These are the some subscales they measured. Coming to social support rating scale, In 1994, she who introduced the social support rating scale, which breaks the social support into three parts. One is subjective support, objective support, and utilization of social support. Here, subjective support means how a person feels emotionally happy, respected, and understood by others in their community or not. And coming to objective support means the actual help or assistance a person gets, like having friends, getting practical help, or being part of social groups. Utilization of social support means how much a person actually uses the help and resources around them. This scale has 10 questions in total. It is reliability over 2 months period was found to be high with consistency coefficient high with consistency coefficient ranging from 0.89 to 0.94. So the researchers analyzed the data in several steps. First, they examined the data details using descriptive statistics for individuals and families. Then they used the t-tests to compare age differences within subgroups. Then they use the chi-square test to analyze the differences in other demographic variables, and use the t-test to assess the differences in personality and social support, and also use the logistic regressions to evaluate predictors of longevity in both family and individual perspectives. So coming to results, this table shows the differences on demographic variables between longevous elderly group and ordinary elderly group. These are the some demographic variables like gender, age, education, marital status, health status, habits, and household income. Here we can see the percentage of male in longevous elderly group is 22.6%, but the female is 77.4, means it is 3 times higher than the male. And most of them are non-schooling, means they don't have education, that is 71.2%. And most of them are widowed, that is 81.4%. And health status is good, and they smoke less, that is 13.1. And also household income is very less in longevous elderly group. And this study shows that there is a key differences in longevous elderly and ordinary elderly group. And coming to this is the individual differences on psychosocial variables. So these are the some variables like extroversion, neuroticism, psychotism, objective support, subjective support, and total support. Here we can see the score of extroversion is higher in longevous elderly than the ordinary elderly. This means the person is outgoing, social, and enthusiastic. Coming to here, neuroticism is less when compared to ordinary elderly. This means the person is emotionally stable. Other than this, surprisingly, support, that is objective support, subjective support, support utilization, total support is very less when compared to ordinary elderly persons. So the researchers also compared the longevous family groups and also ordinary elderly families. Here the differences, and they relatively balance the gender and age among two families. The rate of longevous families receiving education in high school and behind is lesser when compared to ordinary elderly families. The distribution of marital status and household income level is relatively similar. You can see here. They are relatively similar. And health status, sorry. And the health status in longevous family is higher than that of ordinary families. And habits, coming to habits, they are less smokers when compared to ordinary elderly families. So, but chi-square test determined that there is no significant differences among longevous family and ordinary elderly families in demographic variables. Coming to family differences on psychosocial variables, here you can see neuroticism is very less when compared to ordinary elderly families. That means they are relatively emotionally stable. But other than that, you can see extraversion or extraversion, psychotism, objective support, subjective support, support utilization, total support are relatively similar. Like 49.1, 48.44, there is no significant differences in this one. So here we can see the prediction models of the longevity. Researchers use the binomial logistic regression to find out which factors can predict how long someone can live. They established the comprehensive evaluation model for longevity. In terms of individual models, longevous elderly are assigned the value of 1 and ordinary elderly assigned the value of 0. They use the forward LR variable entry method. The standard was the probability of entry and deletion was 0.05 and 0.1 respectively. The regression analysis revealed that neuroticism, total support, and smoking can impact the longevity of older individual. If the neuroticism and total support are decreased, then the lifespan of the individual is increased. They also compared the smoking and non-smoking persons. The lifespan of a non-smoking person is higher than the smoking person. So the results also showed that overall prediction accuracy of the model for individual longevity was 71.8%. Similarly, as for family model, they used same method, and it is turned out that neuroticism and psychotism significantly influenced the family longevity. As the score of neuroticism decreased, the possibility of family longevity is increased, while the high psychotism could predict family longevity to a certain extent. The overall prediction accuracy of the model for family longevity was 60.8%. So coming to the discussion, by this study, we got to know that there is no significant differences in demographic characteristics between families, and also individual differences were observed. And more than 75% of longevous elderly individuals were women and 80% were widowed. This study said stopping smoking early is important for living longer, but the effects of drinking on how long you live are still not clear. And also, they measured the personality traits studied for their link to longevity. Here we can see longevous elderly exhibit more outgoing behavior, stable and positive emotions. Social support is crucial for reducing loneliness, improving quality of life, poses the challenges for longevous elderly, especially women living alone. So predictive factors for individual longevity include low neuroticism, good social support, and less smoking. For family longevity, lower neuroticism and some level of stubbornness are significant. So coming to limitations, this research is primarily focused on the elders individuals who depends on the families. This study won't give detailed information about all the other holders. So it would be need to explore these situations and use the more larger samples for participants. And this research primarily concentrated on psychological factors, overlooking potential influence like kindness, attitudes, and values are not considered. So by this we can conclude that good emotional management, being interpersonal support, and moderation of habits are important factors for individual longevity, and the intergenerational influence of personality is closely related to family longevity. An impact of research. This research suggests better ways for older people to live healthier, like changing bad habits and getting more emotional support. Thank you, everyone. If you have any queries, you can reach me out at chaya@renex.org.
Thank you, Chaya, for the detailed information of the topic. So there is a question from Yogita that how can these findings be translated into practical interventions to promote individual and family longevity?
Sorry, can you explain me that?
Yeah. How can these findings be translated into practical interventions to promote individual and family longevity?
Yeah, that detail is not provided in this article. Yeah.
There is another question from Nupur that from which country was this data collected? Does living at urban or rural area affect?
This data is collected in China. They are urban people.
I don't. Thank you for the
Hello.
explanation of the. Yes, sir. Thank you for the detailed explanation of the topic. I think the answer was clear. I hope there is no other questions from this side. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you, audience. And our next presenter is Divya. Our research topic is healthy lifestyle in late life, longevity genes, and life expectancy among older adults, a 20-year population-based prospective cohort study.